Good morning. I sincerely want to thank Jim Boylen for his time for the Chicago Bulls. I have no doubt that he has given this organization his very best effort and poured his heart into coaching this team. The human element of these decisions is never easy. Jim Boylen cares deeply and passionate about the game and about the Bulls. So the decision to move in a different direction with our head coach is not one was arrived at lightly. Ultimately, my responsibility is to move this organization on a trajectory of success. And it's been apparent from the beginning that this involves making changes. I respectfully acknowledge the hard work and dedication of all of those with this organization that have come before me, but I'm dedicated and committed to cultivating a culture that breeds winning and has its sights set on championships. We can open up, Matt, to questions.
Okay, thanks, Arturas. Cheryl Raystout, you got the first question here.
Yes, Arturas, with the process now going forward, I'm sure most of your candidates are in Orlando. How is this process going to work going forward?
Well, we're going to start the process immediately, from obviously diving into research and then interview process and scheduling it all. So we'll have to figure that part out. So.
Okay, next one up is Joe Cowie with the Sun-Times.
Hey, Joe.
Arturas, you hear me?
I got you.
Okay. Just for not background, but I mean, with the old regime and all the uncertainty that was going on the last year, how much do you think Jim? I mean, you talked about how much he cared, but how much do you think Jim was kind of empowered beyond coach and kind of lost sight of what his job was and what the parameters and the lane he should stay in was?
Well, I took my time for a reason. It was a process, and I took, to make that decision over the last few months since I was hired in April. I had no timeline, and this was the right time to make this change, and that's what I did.
Next up, Casey Johnson, NBC Sports Chicago.
Hi, Arturas. What factors drove your decision?
It was strictly a basketball decision. I think, we had criteria in mind, and we took our time for the past 5 months to get to this decision. And I think it's the right decision for organization.
Next question comes from Jamal Collier with the Chicago Tribune. Go ahead, Jamal.
Hey, Arturas. Just who kind of is involved? This is kind of the first big decision you had to sort of make here, but just kind of who was all involved in that decision-making process? This, you and Mark, did you feel it was totally your call? And then just kind of can you walk me through kind of how that decision process plays out kind of with you guys as a group?
Yeah. So again, since it was a very unique situation to be hired in April, we took our time, take through this process. The restrictions were lifted, a little bit more interaction was involved. I think at the end of the day, I would like to thank Jerry and Michael Reinsdorf, for trusting me to make that basketball decision. There were definitely discussions with the ownership, but at the end of the day, the autonomy was left up to me.
Eric Woodyard with ESPN is up next.
Hey, AK, you talked about, obviously, now is the time. I'm curious, why is the timing right now? And, what are you looking for in the next coach, to lead this group, as you guys are trying to create a new culture?
Yeah. So, I mean, just to be, officially the last day of regular season is today. So I thought the timing was right now, going into, the lottery and the draft process, and, it's an official off season for us. So we thought that it was good timing. And in terms of what we're going to be looking for, we're going to continue focusing on player development and emphasis on player development. Someone who puts, the relationship with players first and is a good communicator. So there are a lot of factors going on in terms of criteria that we're looking at a coach. But again, those are the main ones, and we will start the search immediately.
All right. Next question comes from Mike McGraw with the Daily Herald.
I forgot to unmute, I think. Arturas, so do you have a process in mind of how the interview process is going to take? We saw the Knicks interview a lot of different guys. It's a chance for you guys to meet a lot of different people and evaluate a lot of different coaches. Do you think you'll take your time with this?
Yes, we will. There's no deadline, no timeline on it. I think again we live in very strange times, but we're gonna do our diligence, and we're gonna start the search as of today.
Next up, Cody Westerlund, 670thescore.com.
Arturas, you and Mark Eversley have both talked about being a players first organization. Does that factor fit into your head coaching hiring? How do you find someone that helps empower players while also holding them accountable?
Yeah, it's one of the components. Of course, the criteria is much wider. We're looking for many factors, and that we're going to decide internally on the criteria. So, but obviously, attention to players and the player care, it's our number one priority.
Thank you.
Casey Johnson again. Go ahead, Casey.
Arturas, what's the status of the current staff members, and will there be any that you ask the new coach, whoever it is, to consider keeping?
So, business as usual with the supporting cast, while we're going to go through this process. So they're going to be in the gym working as they were before. And once we go through the process, we'll inform you what are the developments.
So no comment, in other words.
Joe Kelly again. Joe, go ahead.
Arturas, how aware did you guys become of possible run-ins Jim had, whether it was with players or other personnel? Were those concerning, and were those enough of a red flag that also played into the decision?
Joe, the decision was based mainly on a basketball part of it. So basketball decision was made.
But were you aware of some of that stuff or no?
Again, it was based on basketball decision. So.
Next question, Darnell Mayberry with The Athletic. You're up, Darnell.
Thanks. Hi, Arturas.
Hey.
I wanted to ask you, how much did financial considerations factor into this decision?
So ownership gave me, autonomy to make that decision, and it was based on basketball, not financials.
As a follow-up quickly, when Jerry made his comments to USA Today about the nine-figure losses between the Sox and the Bulls, there was a lot of kind of speculation that was going to hinder you from being able to make a decision like this. Did that come into play at all during your process?
No, I think thankfully that the ownership gave me autonomy, and it was, looking not only for upcoming season, outlook also for the, 21-22. So we were looking at the big picture, and this was, we just felt that the program needed a change and a fresh perspective.
Thank you.
Eric Woodyard again with ESPN.
Arturas, will the players have any input, or did they have any input in this process? I know you spoke about the players a little before, but will you lean on them, throughout this search to kind of get their advice?
During this, research, I mean, they one of the components of, of the criteria and evaluation. So they were part of it. Players always part of it.
Next up is Jamal Collier again with the Tribune. Go ahead, Jamal.
Yeah, Arturas, I know you were hopeful to get you guys back on the court here at some point during this off season. Kind of where do you think things stand as far as that goes? And do you have just any updates or any? You still hopeful that?
Can you repeat again the beginning of the question?
I know you were hopeful to kind of get your guys back on the court as a team and sort of get, whether it be some kind of scrimmages or some kind of league or organized thing against other teams. Do you have any kind of update on that, or any you hope to get your guys on the court in any kind of way?
Well, we hope so. The players now can work out individually in our practice facility, and our gym is pretty busy right now. So while we're waiting, if we can get any additional support from the league, the overall the league regrets that we couldn't get anything done, but until now. But I'm hopeful to get something soon.
Michelle Ray, you're up again. Go ahead.
Arturas, I know you have to be compiling a list of candidates for the new head coaching job, but do you have specifically a number that you're looking at? Is it wide? Is it limited? I mean, how many candidates do you think you're going to be interviewing?
There's no specific number. There's no deadlines, and we're gonna compile the list of candidates, and we're gonna start the interview process.
Casey, it's your turn. Go ahead.
Yeah, Arturas, just one more about Jim. It was pretty clear that he was a pretty collaborative person with management. So certainly seemed like he was open to tweaking things, changing the offense if need be, things like that to move forward. So what specifically basketball wise, was the tipping point for this decision?
Well, Casey, I'm not going to give you specifics, but it was a basketball decision that was made, based on a lot of factors. Again, we had 5 months to do that, and that's based on what we saw during this process.
We love specifics as beat writers, but thank you.
Love it.
Darnell, your turn here.
Yeah, Arturas, I know you were aware of the negative perception surrounding Jim Boylen, but what message do you think this sends, or what do you think this does for your fan base that had grown restless, and what are you at least hoping that this signals to them?
Well, the signal is that we changing things, signals that, we're looking forward to what's come next. And we just felt that, this program needed to change and needed to change now. And I can't wait to find the next coach for this group.
And with regards to that perception, and like I said, I know you were aware of it. How much did that factor in? How much did that play into your consideration on making this move?
I was not looking at the perception. I was doing my due diligence during the last 5 months and looked into a lot of factors, and that's what the decision was included.
Does anybody else have a question for Arturas? Okay, looks like that's it. Thank you again for joining us this morning. Appreciate your time.
Thank you, everybody. Thank you.
Thanks, everyone.
Thank you.
Thanks, man. Appreciate it.
Thank you very much.
Hey, Bulls Bulls fans, thanks for watching. For more videos, just check them out right here.